Have you ever left church upset? Maybe even cried in your car? Not because anything bad happened, but because nothing happened. No one asked how you were really doing. No one noticed you were there. You did all the right things, and you still drove home alone. If that's ever been you, stay with me. Today we're starting something that I think is going to change that. Hey friend, welcome to Mentoring That Matters. I'm Ellen Castillo, and if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found this little corner of the internet. This podcast is a place where we talk honestly about biblical mentoring, discipleship, and what it actually looks like for women to walk through life together instead of alone. This is our very first episode, so thank you for being here. I'll be honest with you, I've never recorded a podcast before today, so if I stumble over my words a little, just know you're hearing this thing come alive in real time, and I think that's fitting for what we're talking about. So today kicks off a series that I've been sitting with for a very long time. It's called The One Another Life. It's going to run across the blog, this podcast, and inside our community for the next several months because honestly, I don't think this is a topic that you can rush. Here's why I wanted to start here. For years, I thought loneliness inside the church was just my particular problem to solve. Like maybe I wasn't outgoing enough, or maybe I hadn't found the right small group yet, or maybe I just needed to try harder. I want you to hear me say, I don't believe that anymore. Scripture is full of these commands that get tucked into the backs of our Bibles like fine print. Love one another, encourage one another, bear one another's burdens, forgive one another. There's over 60 of them actually scattered through the New Testament. And the more I sat with them, the more I realized these aren't chores. They're a description. They're God, through Paul and Peter and James, painting a picture of what it looks like when his people actually live like family. On the blog this week, I wrote about two of those verses, Romans 12:10 and Romans 15:14, and what it means that Scripture doesn't just command community, it assumes we're capable of it. So I'm not going to repeat that whole post here. If you haven't read it yet, you can go check it out after this. I'll link it in the show notes. But I want to take a few minutes here to go somewhere the blog post didn't. Here's what I really want to ask you today, and I want you to actually sit with it instead of rushing past it. If the one another life is what we're made for, why does it feel so rare? I think for a lot of us, it's not that we don't want deep community. It's that we've been hurt by shallow versions before. Maybe you opened up once and got gossiped about. Maybe you served faithfully for years and nobody ever asked how you were doing in return. Maybe you're the one everyone leans on and you've quietly wondered, who's supposed to hold you up? If that's you, the series isn't going to hand you a formula. But I do think it's going to hand you language for what's missing, for what you're allowed to ask for, and for what you might be able to start giving again, even in small ways. Because here's the thing about the one another commands. They were never meant to be carried by one person or even one small group. They were meant to be the normal texture of an entire community. That's actually what this whole platform, Bridge the Gap, exists to help rebuild. The older and the younger walking with each other, not from a stage, but shoulder to shoulder. Over the next several months, we're going to walk through the series together. On the blog, right here on the podcast, and inside our membership community. Some weeks, we'll dig into a single one another command. Some weeks, I'll bring on guests to talk about what this has looked like in their own lives. The beautiful parts and the hard parts. And some weeks, it'll just be me, being honest with you like I'm being right now. My hope is that by the end of this season, this isn't just a phrase you've heard, the one another life, but something you're actually starting to practice, even in just one relationship, even imperfectly. So if today stirred something in you, here's what I'd love for you to do. First, go read this week's blog post, You Were Made for One Another. There's a free download at the end called the One Another Checkup. It's honestly, I think, one of my favorite and most useful things I've made so far. It'll only take you a few minutes, and I think it'll surprise you. And if you're craving more than content, if you're craving an actual person to walk with, that's exactly what our membership spaces are for. We have something called the Mentor Match and the Wisdom Well and One Another Care. Those are things especially suited to this topic. I'll put all of that in the show notes. So thank you for being here for this brief episode 1. And I'll see you next week as we keep walking through what it means that you, yes, you, were made for one another.